So recently, there's been a lot of conversation about Overwatch 2 having a hero ban system, and this sort of came up because a lead hero designer by the name of Alec Dawson hopped on a stream with Flats and Emog and talked a little bit about what the team was looking at, and this is one of the things that was brought up. And this has caused a lot of discussion and general discourse that I sort of wanted to talk about. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about what hero ban system looked like in Overwatch 1, what it looks like now in other modern games, and whether or not it could work in a game like Overwatch. So real quick, I'm going to show you guys the Twitch clip that I was referring to earlier where lead hero designer Alec Dawson sort of talks about this hero ban and hero swapping system.
Sort of look at, hey, what does swapping mean in the game? Is this something that's on? Is this something that you have to spend a token for, right? Is it something that it's more of a currency rather than being as free form as it is right now? Is there nothing planned, right? But is there something like with bans and picks where your hero pool is more limited, but you've also banned some stuff? There's going to be a number of things that we're going to try and just see how swapping comes into play with some of those other more structural changes to the game, right? So yeah, I don't think we're done evaluating what it means to swap in Overwatch, at least not yet.
So as you can see, there's not a whole lot that he really gives with specifics, just this vague idea that the team is going to take a look at it. And since he was sort of sparse with details, I wanted to go back to Overwatch 1 and sort of see what they did with their hero system. And to do that, I'm going to show this brief clip from Jeff Kaplan talking about the introduction of hero pools to Overwatch.
Competitive, we are going to try something that's going to be very new and very different to help move players off of the meta, or to prevent players from stagnating on any one meta too long. We will be introducing hero pools. Like we have map pools, what hero pools mean is for that week, and the hero pool will only last for 1 week, and then there will be a new hero pool, there will be some heroes that will not be included in the hero pool. So players will have to think of a new strategy that doesn't involve those heroes, and that will last for 1 week, and then the hero pool will change. Again, this is competitive only. This is targeted at keeping the meta fluid or the meta from stagnating. There's all sorts of ways that we could adjust on this.
So as you can see there, Jeff is really just concerned with the idea of having hero pools be something that changes weekly, is only active in competitive, and introduces a hero pool that is sort of chosen by the developers, with the main goal of keeping the game interesting and sort of having a shifting and fluid meta. And as you can sort of tell from these screenshots of comments that I got from that post announcing these changes 4 years ago, you can tell that it was sort of a success. You see a lot of people reacting positively to the idea that some of the more annoying and oppressive characters in Overwatch 1, specifically Mei, as you can tell, were being removed temporarily. You can see a lot of people excited and happy that they could finally get the chance to play their main. So it seems like essentially Jeff got his wish, and that the meta did shift and people were able to have a little more fun, and that the gameplay loop became a little more fun and interesting, at least temporarily. But in the more modern sense, in terms of Overwatch 2, I'm very doubtful that they'd return to a model like that. After that sort of ban system was put into place, a lot of people did find it a little bit stale and annoying that an entire week would pass without the player input, that a certain hero would be banned, and if it was the hero that you enjoyed to play, you'd be out of luck for a week, essentially. So when it comes to modern gaming and more modern banning systems, I look towards a game like Rainbow Six Siege. That game has about 70 operators, and in its ranked and standard mode, which is it's a pseudo-ranked mode for warming up and practice, each team is allowed to ban 2 operators for a total of 4 operators, 2 on defense and 2 on offense. And it's just picked by the majority vote. And it's a system like that that I would most likely expect in Overwatch 2. So clearly, a system like this works very well in Siege, but then the question arises, would this work well in Overwatch? And me personally, I don't think so. Heroes in Overwatch are too diverse to ban, and you wouldn't really still have proper counterplay if you banned a certain hero. In a game like Siege, like I said, that has 70 operators, at some point in the hero design, in the character design, there was a bit of overlap with their abilities where some characters essentially do what some of the original characters in the roster did, just a little bit differently, a little bit better, a little bit worse, but still in a way where they fulfill a certain role. In Overwatch 2, despite the fact that the hero roster has been steadily growing, there's not a whole lot of overlap, and a lot of the characters do things differently. with hit scans, they essentially do the same thing. You'd look at Cassidy and Soldier, and you could say, well, they both shoot hit scan projectiles. They both are great for countering Pharah. Then you also introduce their other abilities. Soldier has his own little healing and sprint, while Cassidy has his grenade and his, fan the hammer and his combat roll ability. They both still complete minor sub rules when you think about it. Like Cassidy's grenade has the effect to sort of shut down a character like Wrecking Ball or Doomfist and other characters like that, where Soldier can't. So you do still, like, these smaller sub play categories do exist and would still be lost in a hero banning system like this, which is why I think it just wouldn't work. But yet, as I look around, there are some people who still argue that this would be a good system, albeit it does seem to be a rather unpopular opinion right now. One of the people that I saw arguing for it did say that the game would become more varied, and this is sort of something that Jeff was pointing back in 2020 with the hero pool ban system that he had. He also said that there would be a new meta on a game-per-game basis, which means you'd essentially rarely have the same meta twice, in theory, of course. And I did say in theory there because, as I've seen in Siege with its own ban system, you do typically get the same characters who are banned over and over again, and you really have that varied gameplay loop like I was referring to earlier. But in their defense, this kind of data of heroes getting banned could be relayed back to the devs, and they could see beyond win rates and stats and stuff like that, they could see that a high ban rate could be indicative that someone is a little bit too strong, which could be an interesting way to help regulate and see which heroes are a little too strong and which are not strong enough. If you see a hero that's rarely getting banned, maybe you think about adding a buff or something like that to them. Overall, it could be an interesting way to help keep the game fair and balanced. But overall, in conclusion, I don't think a ban system would work very well in Overwatch. It's not a bad idea, per se. I can see the intent is well-meaning towards the players. But for me, it just feels like the roster isn't big enough and diverse enough, with such as a game like Siege or any other of those MMO games that people will bring to the forefront of thought when talking about a hero ban system. I don't think Overwatch has this sort of character hero base to sort of support something like that.